Okay, guys. Well, welcome to our new video. This is Danilo Martinez from King Realty, and we got Andres here, Ramirez from Soul Properties, and I believe Keller Williams. So just a quick video for you guys. We've never made any content, but we're the Latinos in the GTA scene, and we're trying to do big things here, and we want you guys to get to know us a little bit.
So let's start with you, Danilo. How long have you been in real estate? What makes Danilo Martinez? What have you learned over the past such years of being in real estate?
So I got my license in 2014. I was 26 years old at the time. I thought that I could make it in real estate. I was very naive, by the way.
I think we all were.
Yeah, thinking that, I can just jump in and make a bunch of money, just like, the TV shows.
Yeah. I could do a deal a month, no problem.
Yeah, no problem. Soon enough, I'll have my own Selling Sunset too,
Exactly.
or something like that. But I got a big wake-up call when I started getting into the business. I think it was, anybody's entrepreneurship journey. I think you face a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of bumps along the road. I was definitely going down in terms of finances before I went up and started actually getting a few deals under my belt. But thankfully, and I'm super grateful for all support of friends and family, and also clients that I've had over the years, that I did really well right away, even in the first year. And been trying to just continue to service people and make people satisfied with the way that we help them all along the way, and I think it's been working out. 10 years now, 10 calendar years in the business in 2024, and I love it. I feel like I love it even more now than I ever did. I got a lot of ideas for things to do in the future, man. How about yourself?
Myself, I wasn't as quick as you, but I think I was definitely naive at the beginning as well.
Sure.
I thought it was going to be easy. Yeah, anybody's going to hire me. Why wouldn't they hire me? Type of thing, right? It actually took me a couple years to get my first sale.
Okay.
So that was definitely a big eye-opener for me. And I think I realized that it's not about the amount of people you know, it's about the type of people and connections you have with those people, right?
Right.
You can know thousands of people, but if you have no connection with them, or if they're not going to trust you to, with their biggest purchase of their life, then it has no substance. So I think that's what was the biggest lesson to me, is what I'm still doing till today is continuing those relationships that I have in the past and reinforcing them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's big. I agree. I've known you for a little while now, and I can tell that, you really want to take care of people. And that was always my idea. Like when I got into this, I just thought to myself, look, I want to make sure that I'm taking care of people. I don't want people to be upset with me a few months down the line because of decisions that they made with my help. And that's proven to be like cornerstone of the business, because, my biggest thing is repeat referral. I may not be out there as much as a lot of other people, but anybody who ends up working with me typically stays with me. And, over the last 10 years, I've had several clients that have, bought and sold several things. I don't know if you guys know this, but a buyer is usually buying and selling maybe 3 to 4 homes in their lifetime. And I'm happy to say that I've helped a lot of families move on up. Nice. And and they're comfortable with saying, hey, this is Danilo, referring me to family and friends and stuff like that. So that's kind of been the biggest thing. And yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, man.
100%.
All the big coaches in real estate tell you the same thing, man. You gotta, you gotta make the people feel good. You gotta, service them. And I think those are the people who end up lasting in this business, because, dude, when I got into this business, I think there was 40,000 agents in the GTA. 40,000. Yeah. I think we're hitting 65 now.
Yeah,
almost 70. Yeah, we might even be inching closer to 70,000. We're almost doubling. Well, there's a lot of agents out there.
Registered to Trev, I believe, right?
Yeah, and look, I mean, you could choose any one of those guys, I guess, if you want. I would say that you probably should be going with people who have experience and I don't know, are genuine.
I want someone that has your best interest, not only knowledge, but also has your best interest, because there could be people there that they know a lot, but they don't have your best interest, right? They're just in it for the sale. And someone who's available, because the important thing nowadays is, with the lifestyles we live, is a lot of people get very busy. So you want people that, genuinely have a good amount of time to service you.
Yeah, man. No, that's 100%. And yeah, a lot of people have different plans, and you got to really get to know, what your goals are. I mean, there's been a lot of times where, somebody wants to sell their property, and I might even be convincing them to keep it. Because, I don't know, I always have my investor hat on. I'm always thinking, well, look, I mean, what if you keep it? What if you get a tenant? That might actually work out better for you. Why don't you pull some cash and you can do something else? But, that idea is not for everybody, right? So you just got to understand.
And if anyone tells you right now, without even knowing your situation, that now is the time to buy or now is the time to sell, they're lying to you. They need to know your situation, what's your plan in the next couple of years, where you plan to go, how much funds you have available, if you need those funds to liquidate. There's so many factors, so don't listen to all this mumbo jumbo about now's the time to buy or now's the time to sell. It's case by case, especially in the world we live in. It changes day to day. So it's important to know what your situation is and where you're headed, right?
That's it. So many times I talk to somebody and I don't even really get to work with them until a year later, just because XYZ happened in life. Life happens, and so that's good. You roll with the punches. And I don't know, we just stick by you until, you're ready to do whatever you need to do at the end of the day, Yeah, for sure.
What's one thing you'd want that, say, someone who's considering you to use you as your realtor? What's something you think they should know?
Something they should know. Well, I mean, I think we've mentioned a few things, but I'm genuine. I'm not a solo guy. I got a team behind me. So, I mean, I think that's very helpful, especially if you're juggling a lot of transactions. You don't want anything along the way to drop the ball. You want to make sure you have your lawyers in place, your mortgage brokers in place. I don't know, when you're selling, you got to have a team, whether you want to do some repairs, you got to do staging, the better photographers, video guys, things like that. Yeah, I think, somebody who has systems is what you should know about me. Like I been there, done that type of thing. So regardless of the situation, I know that we can help out. And that if you're looking for someone genuine, right, like somebody who actually is truly looking out for you and, making sure that you're happy with whatever we end up doing, then, yeah, I mean, I'm your guy there. And I know you're very similar, but I'll ask you the same question, man.
Something that people would probably not think when they first see me is that, just like you, I've been also in real estate for 10 years now. So definitely seen a lot. Definitely got burnt a couple of times, so learned my lessons. And every year there's something to, or every day there's something to, get better in. Whether it be your prospecting or your social media or your networking events or however you attack your email blasts. You know what I mean? Everything, organizing all your contact list. There's always something to improve. And I feel like maybe when someone first looks at me, they're like, oh, this guy's probably new at real estate, right? We both look relatively young.
Yeah, man.
They're like, these guys are between probably early 30s, just started their careers.
It's crazy, man. Like, yeah, man. Like, I remember, like, I was waiting my license. I'm 26. I'm like, who the hell? Yeah. I haven't even bought a house yet. I'm helping you sell and buy a house, Like, so, I always felt, like, weird about that at the beginning. But then I realized, you know what, man? Like, that's not even really the point, And I think, like, I took care of people. I was just very knowledgeable. I've always been, whatever job that I've done, I want to be the guy who knows everything. People always used to come to me for questions on my previous job. And I used to work at Bell, by the way, for like 9 years. So I was a knowledge guy. Everyone came to me. And so I'm like, okay, in real estate, I'm going to be the same guy. I'm going to know everything. I know what's going on. If you come to me, I have the answers for you. Like, that's basically my role.
What's something you would tell 26-year-old Danilo right when he's last exam?
Well, this might seem a little biased, but man, get into the market myself as fast as possible. I wish I would have bought a bunch of properties in 2014. One interesting thing is that the first property that I bought actually was not a property that I moved into. So it might seem a little backwards, but the first property I bought was an investment property. I bought it with a client of mine. And, it ended up doing really well. We ended up selling for profit. During the time that we had it, I think we were making $600 a month. And that's what kind of got me into this, like, investing is probably like cool. It's something I should really be doing as a real estate agent. Why the hell not? You'd be surprised to know there's a lot of people who, help buy and sell a home and they don't really, look at that angle of things, because I think it's important to build your assets, so you have something to go off of, without having to sell or buy your house. I think that's what's important.
It's interesting you say that, because it's also important to maybe consider realtors that have certain specialties. Right?
Yeah.
Or have access to certain specialties.
So we've been connected recently, man. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I'm very impressed with what you got. I think you can tell. Look, I mean, we got each our own kind of database and audience and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And I'd love for, guys that know me, tell them a little bit about Soul Properties, I think, and what's going on with international real estate.
So with Soul Properties, the background is that myself and my mother bought in Panama 4 years ago. She's actually retiring there in the next 6 months.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. So you own a spot in Panama.
Yeah, okay, so I own a spot with my mother in Panama. It's like an hour and a half away from the city. And we used to visit there because my cousins got jobs in the copper mines over there as mechanics for all the big machinery they use and stuff over there. So we used to visit every year for like the last maybe 6-7 years. And then slowly she started liking Panama more. And then we're like, you know what? Like, if it's a place you like, let's just maybe invest in the future and, get a beachside property. Yeah. So we bought something and we visited like almost every Christmas. And then with that process of getting a mortgage over there, dealing with the bank, all these loose ends and, figure them out, even though I was a realtor here, it was quite different experience, right? So I decided like, you know what, there's no guidance in terms of like, there's little to no guidance of Canadians or Americans or North Americans buying in Latin America. And there's a stigma of like, oh, they're going to rob my money or I'm going to just get kidnapped if I go down there. Like, it's all this stuff. So, I want to bring like that reassurance that, it's not as scary as, the media makes it feel like if anything, Canada feels scarier sometimes with everything.
No, nowadays it looks like it, man. Nowadays it looks like it. I think it's crazy what's going on over here. I mean, like I was seeing some news articles where, now in the GTA, at least here in Toronto area, like you're waiting 8-10 hours just to see a doctor at the hospital. Our population's increasing and it's just making those wait times even longer. I'm happy to say, well, I haven't been in a hospital situation in a little while now, but I mean, even when I did, which you're waiting 6 hours just to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just one example of many things that are happening over here. It makes me even think like, man, like, what can I do outside of here? Because even though Canada seems so stable, other countries around the world are catching up quick. I can actually, if you're a sports fan, you'll see this, like whether it be soccer, whether it be basketball, you name it, all the other countries are catching up right now. Like the big boys, like they don't seem so big anymore. They don't seem so out of reach. And I think it's the same thing with the people's economies, like stabilization and people's, in different places. But I like what you're doing, man. Like just making it easy, focusing on certain countries and making it easy for this buyer to, have access to this type of real estate. Whereas, it seemed like so daunting. Like it seemed daunting to me. I haven't done the research you have done.
Yeah.
I'm from El Salvador, and I know that there's a lot of good things going on over there. And a lot of changes over the last few years. I'm actually heading there in the next couple of days, believe it or not. And, now my interest is, and I know this guy has some connections, so I might be reaching out to his connections to see, hey, what's out there, what's available for sale. And, it doesn't seem so crazy, actually, to go that way and it's a lot cheaper.
It's definitely not. You'd be surprised how many Canadians have already made the move down there, whether it be El Salvador, Mexico, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic. And these markets, with all the financial stability that's coming in from foreign investment, it's bringing a lot of more options for other people to come, because it's investing into the roads, it's investing into the healthcare system, it's investing into the school system, whatever it may be, right? So that actually brought me to my second point. The first point was guidance with sold properties to help Canadians buy in Latin America. The second point is that there's options for people to move down there or like to retire down there if they're looking for something a little different. Like a retirement home here in Canada is very expensive compared to what could be established down there, right?
I mean, what would you buy? I've had a few clients over the years where they've sold their generational home or like their family home that they've been there for 20, 30 years. Okay, and this is a nice thing. Canadians, you better be listening to this, okay? So they've been there for 20, 30 years, okay? You're selling your house now from 800 to maybe 1.2 or more, okay, in today's market. You have no mortgage, okay? This is your primary residence, so you have zero capital gains. Literally, that money is going right into your bank, okay? And what people are doing, they're going and buying a $500,000, $600,000 condo here in the city, which is cool, right? You want to be close to family, all that sort of stuff. But I mean, this option, I think you're paying half.
Depends which country and depends what kind of lifestyle you're going to live.
You might be paying half of that or close to, or if you want to spend even the same 500, you're in a mansion. And you're on the water.
You're taken care of down there for that same.
And I don't know, maybe it's worth it to take a look at, hey, what is the lifestyle down there? I can tell you for sure your money's going to go a little longer than it does here. I mean, have you gone to the grocery store? I mean, it doesn't matter what you get a little thing right here, it's $100, right?
Exactly.
And
sell a cart for $100.
So I mean, even to me, I'm just thinking, I don't know, like between you and me, like I've always had this vision. I don't know, like even when I first got into real estate, that I would own real estate, and not just here in Canada, but all over the world in touristic spots, whether it be Latin America, Central America, South America. I always thought even Europe. I always thought Spain. I like the Spanish-speaking countries porque hablamos español,
of course,
right? So we speak Spanish, and so it's just a little easier to talk to people. But hey, man, sky's the limit. When this guy started talking to me like about like what he's got going on, I was just like, man, like I need to know a little bit more. So actually, let me ask you this, man, since we're on this topic anyways. What would you say is a country that has the easiest access for you to get in and buy? And where you think, it might be easy and at the same time it's the best bang for your buck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, what would you say?
So if someone asked me the easiest without considering their needs and wants or anything, I would say Dominican Republic off the bat. Really? The reason is, well, in terms of ROI, the tourism in Dominican has absolutely like exploded.
I've been there like 3 times.
Yeah.
Maybe like 4 times. I don't know.
So 2022, they had 7 million foreign tourists go to Dominican Republic.
Okay.
About 700,000 of them were Canadians. So let's say 10% of the foreigners that came to Dominican Republic were Canadians.
Nice.
And this past year, they hit 10 million tourists. So it's on the rise even more. And in July last year, they had the most tourism that they've ever recorded for any month in the history of Dominican Republic, which is crazy to me to think, because at the end of the day, it's like it beats out Christmases, it beats out Easter weekends, it beats out like any other holiday. So I can't remember how much they hit, but they hit a record high in the month of July. I believe it was 800,000 tourists.
That's 2023.
And that's 2023. So in terms of ROI, I would say Dominican, and also they offer mortgages to foreigners. Something that a lot of people don't know is some Latin American countries offer mortgage options and some don't. So let's say, for example, Mexico, they don't technically offer but there's private lenders coming out. There's certain types of institutions that are.
So we did talk about this before, and this was interesting to me. So like, you know, Mexico's another market. Obviously, a lot of people know. Maybe a lot of you have even been there with your families for vacation, which is great. This is the thing, you know, builders over there are so confident in their product and the fact that they're going to make money on it that they're willing to give you the money. Like they're the lender. The builder gives you the money, and you know, you pay them an interest rate, whatever it is. You're paying. It's almost like a rent to own. But basically, you know, you own this property and you're kind of paying off a loan. It's pretty much a mortgage, but it's just being given to you by the builder. And so that actually makes me think, I'm like, man, the builders are down to give you cash. You know, they're out there spending money as well, investing in developments.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. I know for me, look, I've over my life, I've been to many of these countries, and most of the time it's resorts, right? Most of the time you go there, you go to the hotel, you have all inclusive, nice, you know, you got the beach. But I feel like, you know, people are kind of branching out of that nowadays. They're feeling a little bit more safer. They want to do a little bit more adventure. The Airbnb thing is growing a little bit more. And this is where now you can offer not just a product, but I mean, we talked about this before, an experience to the people coming down. You know what I mean? So yeah, you can have a house, but what if like you have connections, you know, like, I don't know, you need a driver, you need a cook, you need, you know, like, and I think Canadians, I know a lot of Canadians that like those little extras, those little luxuries, and it's amazing that you can find that stuff over there too.
So what's happening in a lot of these Latin American countries is they're seeing the value of foreigners coming and spending money outside the resort. You know what I mean? So whether it be at an Airbnb or at restaurants, or they go get a massage, or they go get their nails done, or whatever it may be, they're injecting money into the country. Right? So what they're doing, and they're acknowledging, a lot of the people that live in these areas too are seeing, okay, obviously there's bad apples everywhere. There's bad apples in Canada, but everyone's realizing that it's better that we don't scare off these tourists, because at the end of the day, they're giving us jobs, they're giving us infrastructure, and they're bringing their foreign money into our country. So what's happening in a lot of these places is they actually take care of the tourists more than you expect. And like I said, there's obviously a bad guy everywhere, no matter where you are in the world, or you know what I mean? So it's sometimes there's things you can't avoid, but a lot of these places are starting to take care of the tourism for that reason, because of the amount of infrastructure it's bringing in to their economy.
Yeah, man, I like that. Now, I have experience because I've gone to these places. You know, maybe I need to dig a little deeper in terms of these different communities that are offering developments and offering sales. But like, you know, be helping like a Canadian or even an American, I don't know who's watching this here, you know, this really applies to anybody. Yeah, anywhere for sure. And there's a lot of European, you know, that's like that special trip to the European. It's like if we go to Greece, that's like that special trip to us because it's 12 hours, 14 hours to get there. The Europeans come to, you know, Central America, they come to Caribbean and Latin America. That's their special trip because it's like, well, that's like a once in a life. They're used to Europe. They go to Spain, they go to Malaga and all, you know, all these places. But anyways, so if you're listening, how would you be demonstrating to them, you know, that these are good areas, that, you know, this is what you're getting, you know, I think we got to make some trips out.
No,
and show them, right?
So what we do at Soul Properties is we help the client. First, we assess what they need and what they want, right? Depends on their budget as well, and where they want to go and what type of resources they want around them, right? If they want to be close to a hospital, if they want to be close to a beach, if they want to be close to shopping malls, if they want to be in a very tranquil area. Like my mother, for example, she didn't want to be residential resorts, right? Where there's a bunch of people walking around all day, there's speakers going off, music, kids running, you know what I mean? She wanted more tranquility. You know, she's about to retire, she wants to be more like lower volume in the area.
Yeah, 100%.
So the place we found for her, it's called Ensenada in Panama, and you go there, paradise. All you hear is the birds like most of the day, which is like pretty nice. So that's the way we try to assess what the client wants. If they want something maybe more fun, maybe they have kids, you know, they want the water slides, they want the big pools, they want those stuff. Then we figure out where they want. Also, it depends on what country they want as well, right? If they need a mortgage, that cuts off a couple options as well. Or if they're going to liquidate here and take that money over there. So what we do is from A to Z, we help the client through the whole process. Once we figured out an area that might suit them, we pair them up with a realtor or builder from down there. We make a WhatsApp group chat or email thread, whatever they prefer, or Zoom calls we do as well. And then we help them through the whole process from thinking about what they want to the final closing and beyond, obviously.
So, I mean, you got a couple options, like, you know, getting maybe an investment property. Second is like maybe retiring over there, maybe moving over there completely. Like, is there like a mix of people? Like what would you say is like, you know, there's more investors coming, or there's more people that actually want to move out, or there's more people who look to retire? Like,
I think it's more of an investment thing because people there's still kind of that fear of moving to like another country. But I believe the way the world's shifting, like a lot of people are open. Like now with Wi-Fi, you can be connected from almost anywhere in the world. So people are a little more open to the option. But it's not as normalized.
Sure, man. Yeah. I mean, look, I've seen it too in the last few years. Like, you know, there's a lot of people at least moving out of Toronto and going to like, you know, an hour away because of pricing.
Yep.
You know, like you can't, like it's really hard to stay in Toronto nowadays. I mean, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I can see people now being a little bit more open to being more international, right? Moving maybe not the whole year, but maybe even half the year, 6 months, 4 months, and going out to your place that you own. And then, you know, I guess that's another question. Like, what about afterwards? Like, you know, is there some help with like getting Airbnb set up, like managing that? You know, I think that you probably have some connections in all these places that with people that are managed, right?
Yeah. So in a lot of these places, what we try to establish first is obviously, if it's possible, the mortgage agent, the realtor, and the lawyer. Those are the main ones to start off the property. Start off to get the property going or the idea of the property. And then we look into like cleaners, property management, local taxis, local, you know, chefs, like things like that can maybe help accommodate for that person or their visitors or your guests, right, on the Airbnb.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. I think what's going to end up happening is that you're going to have to take some trips down there, show people what's going on, and, you know, maybe have a little fun on the way. But, yeah, no, I think that's amazing. Who doesn't want to be at the beach? I think it's minus 15 today.
Yeah, it's freezing right now. There's people skating outside.
I see people skating right over there.
So, Danilo, let me ask you something. What about the Toronto real estate market? Where do you see it going? Where do you see it at right now? Like, what would you tell people if they ask?
So that's, you know, I would say the market's interesting. But, you know, I make monthly videos. You know, some people here know that. And I usually try to give tips for like a buyer, for a seller, for an investor. So maybe I'll look at it from that angle. Right now we have high interest rates, man. You know, and that's interest rates have done a few things. You know, when they were low, it made prices shoot up. And it made the demand crazy, right? Everyone wanted to get in. And the reverse effect ended up happening as rates went up, right? Now, all of a sudden, there's a lot of people who can't afford their mortgage because their mortgage amount is so high and their monthly payment is so high that we're starting to see a lot of those people starting to sell, okay? So on the buyer side, you just need to make sure that you're understanding your monthly commitments, okay? Right. You need to understand if you do get into that 5.5% or 6% mortgage, okay, what is my monthly payment? You know, if it's a condo, throw in the maintenance fee, put in the property tax, put in your insurance, put in your utilities, get that all in price so you know exactly what it is. If you can manage it, I can tell you that right now on the purchase point side, there's deals, right? You're going to get a condo for a cheap price right now. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing because I would say, and you know, this is not just me saying this, you can do your own research, but a lot of experts, and you can read some articles in major papers that talk about rates likely dropping in the next maybe 1 to 2 years. And even TD had a report not too long ago, I believe in the Christmas time, that they believe rates are going to go down to even 4.5, right? So when you go from a 6%, 5.5% down to a 4.5, you're going to chop a lot of money off of your monthly expense. So there's a possibility for a buyer, not everybody, okay, but some buyers who are okay with maybe handling a higher payment for maybe the next year or 2 years, and maybe getting into a 2-year term mortgage, something like that, and then buying at a better price point today. And then when that rate drops, you're going to have a lower payment when you refinance, or maybe you're getting into a variable, one or the other. And guess what? I can tell you for sure what's going to happen when those rates drop. Demand is going to go up. There's a lot of pent-up buyers that are just waiting for that moment to happen. Prices are going to go up at that point as well. So this is kind of a nice little window for a buyer, I would say. You know, I got guys that are looking. I myself personally, you know, have my eyes open for investment opportunities as well because prices are a little bit low, okay? For the seller, it could be a little bit tougher, man. Condos are a little tough. I think that at the end of the day, you know, we said earlier, we try to help people out, and it all depends on people's situations. Some people need to sell right now, right? It could be an investor that's like way in over their heads. I sold my condo earlier this year. If I didn't sell it, I would be paying $1,300 on top of the rent just to cover. And I know a lot of people are paying that amount on their condos. So what you got to do is just differentiate yourself. Don't skimp out on making your property look beautiful on the sales side because you have a lot of competition right now. And, you know, I don't know. I would say sooner rather than later, especially if you're bleeding. Okay. Yeah. If your monthly payment is way too high and it's hurting you every single month, then sooner rather than later, because I don't know for sure if prices are going to get better anytime soon. Okay. They may or may not. I don't know. Okay. So you got to kind of live in this moment. For the investor, man, it's the same thing as the buyer. I think it's double whammy, right? If you have your, you know, you got your investor hat on, you got 20% down, you know, try to get into the best mortgage you can. Maybe variable is good right now. I don't know. Right. You got to kind of look into that. You're going to get a lower price property right now. Okay. And the rent is kind of on the high side still. I think you could probably break even, maybe even make $100. Not all types of properties, but the ones I like that I talk to about all the time. Let's picture a bungalow. You have a main floor, okay? Usually those have a side door entrance to a basement. Basement, a lot of times you can make it into an apartment, whether it be a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom. You know, that'll supplement, you know, now you have 2 incomes coming in from this one property. Those type of properties are going to break even today, or maybe even cash flow a bit. But guess what? The value of that property is going to go up when the interest rates go down. Your monthly expense is going to go down and your cash flow is going to go up as an investor. So this could be a good opportunity for an investor to kind of get into something.
I like that you mentioned budgeting. I think one of the most underestimated things that clients don't often ask, or realtors or mortgage agents don't offer, is a full-scale budget. Like with high interest rates, you really have to say, okay, can I not just qualify for this? Can I afford this?
Yeah, I always look at it from two different ways, man. I'm like, look, it's all nice that somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I went to the bank and they approved me for $800,000 purchase. All right, or $1 million purchase, let's say. Okay, exactly. If you get approved for $1 million purchase, you got to bring $200,000. You're gonna get into an $800,000 mortgage. What does that mean per month? You know, you got to look at it both ways, right? Okay, yes, it's amazing that I got my max price. I know what I can buy. Okay, but what does that mean for you per month?
And what does your lifestyle look like?
And that's right. Like, what's important to you? Where do you need to be? This and that. And, you know, how much money do you want left over after you pay your house? Nobody wants to be house poor, and I don't want to put anyone in a position where they're house poor. Okay, which means that their, you know, house expensive is so high that they can't do anything else. I always say, look, it'd be nice for you to go out on a date night, you know, go have a glass of wine and have a beer and be comfortable and not like feel like that's such a burden because of your other expenses. You got to look at it that way, 100%. That's the only way. And I know right now it's tough. So this is why, you know, this message might not apply to a lot of people, to be honest, but it is what it is.
No, I think a lot of, like, nowadays, budgeting, I think we kind of, I don't know, have this theory that, especially our generation, we grew up with the whole YOLO kind of idea, right?
Sure.
So not everybody, obviously, but I feel like we don't budget ourselves as much as maybe the older generation for the most part.
I think it's true. You know, you talk to your grandpa, you know, that guy's had that cell phone for 5 to 10 years or something. Yeah. Like, he's not upgrading. He's like, the new phone, like $1,000 for a phone? And yet here we have guys that are buying them every year.
I was talking to one of my buddies who works at a car dealership. He's like, man, people are switching their cars like cell phones. Maybe not now because interest rates.
Sure.
But let's say like 2 or 3 years ago, he was like, people just come in every 2-3 years, they trade it in because they get bored of it.
Dude, like, sure. I mean, personally, you know, I've always bought cars, right? Like, I just paid it cash. I didn't need a brand new car. It was always like a 10-year-old car, you know, and I did that maybe a few times because I just felt like I couldn't handle the fact that I'm paying $600-800 per month on a financing or something like that, right? And I was like, no, man, I can't do it. The only time that I got into that, okay, is because, you know, you're out here, right? Like, I ended up buying some investment properties, that cash flow, they gave me money every single month. When I started getting that and getting that consistent income on a monthly basis, that's when I said, okay, now I'm going to actually finance the car. 2007 Infiniti FX35, and anybody who knows me knows I had that car for the longest time, man. I was making money as a real estate agent. I could have bought a car. I could have bought a summer clause probably, you know, but I never did it. You know, I was like, no, it's not the moment. Only when I got those investment properties and I got that cash flow on a monthly basis that I say, okay, you know what? That house is paying for my car now. Is that even me? Even if I don't sell a house,
you're still good.
That thing's getting paid for. You know what I mean? And that was always like, kind of like, I'm like, that's how you want to build things, to be honest. You want to build your assets. You know, that's sometimes people just have to listen to me when I talk about investments and assets and all this motivational talk. You know, sometimes people are like, okay, Danilo, I get it. I'm like, okay, man. I'm just saying. I don't know, man. Am I wrong? I don't know, man. Don't listen to me then. I don't know. So, yeah.
Where can people find Danilo? How can they contact you?
Okay, so Danilo.investor on Instagram. Everything else is King Realty TO, whether that be on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, and YouTube. Got my YouTube thing going as well. If you search King Realty, if you search Danilo Martinez, Danilo Martinez Toronto, I'll pop up. Check out my YouTube stuff. I talk about monthly stats every single month. You know, I pretty much break down a lot of like real estate news here in the GTA. A lot of things that are going on, and you know, we have videos, you know, often. And one thing that we're going to start doing this year, 2024, which is, you know, another reason why me and Andres here are talking, is doing more comparison videos, neighborhood videos here in the GTA. And who knows, possibly we might see us international. Possibly there might be some flights in the future, kind of showing you guys the different neighborhoods that we're talking about earlier. Do you want to be in a quiet neighborhood? Do you want to be in a more crazy, you know, party neighborhood? Hey, you never know. Everyone has a different vibe. Everyone has a different vibe, right? So 100%. All those things exist.
Or a balance of both.
Or a balance of both, whatever the case is, you know, like, I don't know. This guy's going to be an incredible resource, man. Where can they find you if they want to have more information on
So you can search me on Instagram, Andres.therealtor. You can find me on the Soul Properties website, soulproperties.com. And yeah, just reach out, DM, you can text, WhatsApp, whatever works for you. And we're excited to make a lot more content for you guys this year, so stay tuned.
And just I want to make a note, I mean, this guy's a GTA realtor too, man. At the end of the day, he has this thing going on there. I know that he's taking care of his clients as well. And so you can reach out for him with that type of information as well. And now I'm starting to kind of connect with this guy a little bit more about that international stuff. So we got the links.
Stay tuned for more.
You got it, man. Hey guys, I'm hopeful that you guys like that content. You're going to see more of Andres coming up in 2024. We're going to be exploring other countries, believe it or not, okay? I like the idea. I hope you guys like the idea as well. Obviously, we're still going to have GTA content on here, but I mean, it's going to be interesting to kind of find out a little bit about some of the countries that I'm from, you know, some of the countries that I visited in the past, and some of the countries that a lot of people are interested in moving into. So stay tuned for that sort of stuff coming up this year. All right? Take care, guys.